Yo, welcome back to the It's All Opinion podcast, the only podcast that gives you straight facts. And if it's not facts, well, I guess it's an opinion. I am your host, Nate Spurlin. Thank you for listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Verbal, and other DSPs that I have not named. Do us a favor, hit the like buttons and subscribe to the channel or the podcast page. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at OldMilk Media. I am here with Philadelphia's own King Shampz. Thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm good, bro. Glad to be on the show, man. Glad to be on the show for sure.
All right. I appreciate you coming on the show. So I don't know. You're from Philadelphia. I just want to get right into it because NBA season is right around the corner, and You're from Philadelphia, and I guess you currently have your all-star point guard holding your team hostage right now, Ben Simmons, who essentially decided to not take a layup at I think it was it game 6 against the Hawks that he decided not to take that layup. And so he decided not to take the layup. And then everybody's response is, okay, well, you need to get better. And he's like, no, I want to leave. So that being said, what are your thoughts about Ben Simmons? What was the atmosphere like in Philadelphia when they saw the shot that wasn't shot?
Oh, everybody was pissed the fuck off, bro. I mean, you know how sports is in any major city, bro. Like, you cannot do shit like that, especially in Philly. You know, Philly's one of the toughest places, if not toughest for fans, criticisms and shit like that. So the thing is, you got to be able to come through. You know what I mean? And for you to just start bitching and be like, yo, like, you know, I'm just not going to get better. I just want to leave the situation. Like, life is full of adversity, bro. Like, you're going to have to go through something in order for yourself to grow, in order to mature and get where you got to get. So it just looked like a sucker ass move to me, man. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm the Sixers franchise or any franchise dealing with a player like that, it's like, bro, we're not going to move you. And if we do move you, it's got to be something of some kind of gain where it benefits the team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't just be no shit like, oh, you know, we just going to trade you for, you know, a pack of chips and a blunt. Like, we're not doing that. Like, not at all. So
no,
that was interesting.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I think one thing that I've been in my group chat lobbying for that I think would take the Sixers to the next level is if they were able to do a Ben Simmons for De'Aaron Fox swap with the Kings.
That would be a nice pick. Could have picked trade value, but didn't.
Yeah, like Simmons' trade value is just so low. I don't really know what you could really get for him at this point. They have like talks of him going to Minnesota and getting Malik Beasley and some picks, and that's not because Simmons is an all-star despite him not being able to shoot or score. Like there's clearly talent there, but from his rookie season to now, I don't really see where he's really developed his game. And that's coming off of a rookie season where personally I thought Donovan Mitchell deserved the rookie of the year over him because Donovan Mitchell led a team to the playoffs. And I don't even think the Sixers got into the playoffs that year, did they?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know. I think Ben Simmons is a great defender. He's a pretty good rebounder. He's a pretty good passer. But if he's not going to take a three-pointer, you're just going to see what you saw towards the end of games sometimes where Embiid is forced to take jump shots because there's too many people in the paint. So I don't know what you guys will do with him. It seems like he's trying to sit out, and I don't. What do you think would be the best case, most realistic scenario for the Sixers right now with the whole Ben Simmons situation going on?
You would just really hope that you can get to some kind of mutual understanding. That's really where you want to get at this point in time, because there's so many different rumors regarding where he may go, if he's going to sit out or not. You know what I mean? You really don't know at this point. I think that they have to come together and say, okay, this is a plan that we can go in here and execute, whether it's a trade or you stay here until your trade value comes up, or you just say, yo, bro, we've invested a lot into you. We're not going to give up on you because, like you said, you are an all-star. Let's see if we can go in here and get better and be men about the situation. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different options, but I feel like the biggest thing that has to be done is a sit down and hashing everything out. It's on the table now, and then we have a direction where we can go. Because right now, it's really no direction. There's a lot of rumors.
Yeah. That being said, I think there's a playoff game. I think it was either one of the later ones, maybe game 4, game 5, where the only 2 players who scored in the second half for the Sixers were Embiid and Seth Curry. You guys have another player who you paid a lot of money for, and he hasn't really lived up to the expectations of that contract in Tobias Harris.
About Tobias Harris?
Yeah.
Bro. Listen,
the NBA's J. Cole, as some people will call it.
And first and foremost, for the record, I definitely will watch the Sixers because I'm in Philly, but I'm a Boston Celtics fan. I'm a huge Jason Tatum fan.
Oh, you're a Celtics fan. Okay.
Yeah, I fuck with him happy. But I
go to battle with Celtics fans every day in my group chat.
Listen, man, it's mad wild with that team right now, just because there's no direction there either. But that's a whole nother discussion. But for the Sixers, like when you talk about Tobias Harris, yeah, like you pay a guy that much money, you expect him to step up. Like you expect him to step up. I mean, the thing is, you're not really the best defender. You're not the best rebounder.
No.
We expect you to at least do what you can do, which is score the basketball. And when you start talking about the Sixers and a lot of other teams, you don't have a guy that they can just give the ball and say, go get me 30. Like people look at stats and they watch shit through the course of the game. You got a lot of great course of the game scores, and then you have guys who can just give you 20 in a row. You know what I'm saying? Tobias Harris isn't either one of those dudes.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And for you to pay him that kind of contract, like a max contract, I expect maximum results.
No, I
I talk to my little brother about that all the time, like consistently.
No, I definitely agree. I think that Tobias Harris is, first of all, when they gave him that contract in the first place, it seemed like they had to make a choice between Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler. And I understand that Jimmy Butler didn't really want to stay in the first place, but if I'm the Sixers at that point and you see how good Jimmy Butler was for the culture and also for Joel Embiid, because we didn't see Joel Embiid really propel himself to superstardom the way that he did and try to play every single game since after Jimmy Butler left. And you could see there's a different level of seriousness that Joel Embiid has taken with being a superstar center for an NBA franchise. So I think if Jimmy Butler is still there and you take off Tobias Harris, maybe Ben Simmons Jimmy Butler might either bully Ben Simmons into leaving or bully him into getting better, because that seemed to be the situation in Minnesota with Jimmy Butler and Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
So that being said, I don't understand how they just let Jimmy Butler go. But since the revelation is that you're a Celtics fan, let's talk about the Celtics. Because I have some of my friends are Celtics fans. Most of them are pretty realistic. Some of them are delusional.
That's every fan base.
Yeah, but I mean, some fan bases more than others. But I guess you have 2 All-Stars. You have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You add Dennis Schroeder. You lose Kemba. I think you got Al Horford back, I believe.
Yeah.
Am I wrong to think that this team it's going to make the playoffs, but am I wrong to think that this team's ceiling is maybe a 4 seed?
No, not at all.
A realistic Celtics fan. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a realistic fan, period. Because the thing is, you have to look at the optics in the situation that's being presented. You know what I'm saying? Brad Stevens has to do a way better job in coaching situations. Some of the coaching adjustments have been horrible. He's good up until a point. It's the same thing with a Jaylen Brown. He can be good up to a point. Kemba Walker really isn't a loss because he doesn't move the ball at all. He refuses to move the ball, and he's going to New York where he can put up as many shots as he wants. You know, that's something. And he's going home. You know, that's like the big thing. Like, go home. It's like, yeah, whatever. So, when you start talking about like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you got talent there. And the East really is only like 3 teams in the East, or 4 teams rather, that kind of have, the ability to win some games. But what's that, like the Nets? We would be in there, the Sixers and Giannis and them, because Giannis and them just won a chip.
I mean, I put the Heat there too. I like what they did.
The Heat always want to be there.
Kyle Lowry, and you still have Bam Adebayo, and you have Jimmy Butler over
there.
You
think Kyle Lowry still got juice?
Yes. Everybody used to roast Kyle Lowry because he would never get out the playoffs, but at the same time, like he would never get to the finals because the Raptors for years were considered championship contenders, but at the same time, they kept losing to LeBron. And it's like, it comes to a point where it's like, okay, like this is literally probably in my lifetime, at least the best player I've ever seen. So once he was paired with Kawhi and we saw what he did in that final series, along with Kawhi, Fred VanVleet, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, like they had a really good team around them. But seeing what he did there, I think that he's one of the most underrated point guards in the league. I think
for sure.
He is someone who he's paid his dues. And now I think on the Heat, I think that he's going to be someone that's going to be a real threat, because now Jimmy doesn't have to hold on to the ball as much as he does or had to.
I can see that. I believe if he still has enough juice left and he can kind of replicate what he did in Toronto, they're definitely contenders for sure. It's like you said, he's an underrated point guard. He distributes the ball well. He's a hound on defense.
Very good.
You know what I'm saying? And he brings a certain leadership quality. So if he can come down there and he's still got some juice left, they're in the midst.
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely agree. But going back to the Celtics, during last year, the beginning of last year, when James Harden was in Houston and he wanted to be anywhere but Houston, my argument was that if the Celtics traded for James Harden and maybe gave up Jaylen Brown for James Harden, they'd be in a much better situation. What do you think about that?
As long as Harden's healthy, we already know what the fuck Harden is. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's not an MVP and probably the most dominant isolation player we've seen.
He should have 3, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, James Harden gets busy, so it's hard for me to argue that. But on the flip side, it's like, okay, Jaylen Brown does play defense. James Harden, if he's going to drop 40, because you can probably give him 40. You know what I'm saying? So unless you have a lot of great defenders around him, and we've got a couple of solid defenders, but I feel like you have to structure the team a certain kind of way for that actual move to work. It's really good on 2K if I got Jason Tatum and James Harden, you know what I mean? And I'm like running up and down the court and I can kind of control these guys, but you start talking about the regular season stretches and the ability to have big defense in those games. He's a liability defensively. I think we all can agree with that.
I mean, the one thing I've noticed, because I'm a huge James Harden fan, and there have been times where he's been lackadaisical on defense, but towards that last year when the Rockets fully committed to small ball and they had PJ Tucker as their starting center, one thing I noticed about James Harden was that in the paint, he's really solid. I think that his strength is very underrated. I think there was some stat that he's by opponent field goal, some crazy analytical mumbo jumbo stat that he was first in defensively, but that's a big deal for him to be first in a defensive stat, period. So I think that and it's shown in Brooklyn too, that he's recommitted himself to being a winning basketball player and understanding that defense is the name of the game. But regardless, I think that with James Harden, the one thing that I think the Celtics really need is a ball handler that is going to, as soon as one of the other 4 players on the court get open, you get the ball, bucket.
Yeah,
that's the one thing that I think you guys are missing. And James Harden, in my opinion,
he's one of the best distributors in the league.
Yeah, he's a top 5 passer in the league. He's led the league in assists. He had like a crazy 60 point, 15 assist, triple double at one point. Like his role literally on the Nets isn't even to score anymore. And that's his best trait. It's literally to assist. So if you pair that with Jason Tatum and now you tell Jason Tatum, okay, you just score, play defense, we'll win. And James Harden can still give you 30 and 10 on the side, I think that the Celtics will be in a much better position that they're in right now. Because also
Yeah,
now,
like I
even
said,
Kemba could play off that too. Because you could keep Kemba and Kemba could just be a scorer. Or
Kemba to me, he always has had a ball. For better or worse, James Harden can play off ball. Kemba Walker has showed consistently that he is a New York point guard to the court. He is not moving that ball at all. I'm dribbling this motherfucker. If I get the pass and you wide open, I'm gonna hit you. But if you kind of open and I think I can kind of score, I'm gonna put that motherfucker up. So I can't argue. Like I said, it's very hard for me to refute anything that you're saying regarding James Harden. James Harden's one of the best players in the league. Why wouldn't you trade him for like a Jaylen Brown? You know what I mean? My only thing was, like I said, the structure of the team and the coaching of the team. You know what I'm saying? How you're going to go in ahead and use this player. Because it's easy to just go in ahead and implement him. Okay, go on ahead and do this, but the culture has to be together. Yeah. And I feel like the defensive coach outside of Marcus Smart and a couple other guys, it's not a lot of great defenders. And I'm sorry, but I don't want to really get in a matchup where who's guarding Chris Middleton, who's guarding Giannis, and then Drew Holiday can still give you 30. I'm in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure, like, if that move would happen, I wouldn't be mad. I'm not going to be the fan like, oh, we've got James Harden. The fuck? Like, we got James Harden, you know? But I just want to make sure that the team structure is together. I wouldn't mind that at all.
So how do you feel about Brad Stevens now being promoted to essentially running the team? And you guys have a new coach.
I feel like that probably would be a better role for him. I feel like he's really good at talent evaluating. I feel like his voice may have got stale in the locker room, and you always need that new voice to implement a certain kind of culture. You know what I'm saying? And I think Ike really do a good job for that. I think he relates a lot more to the players.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that there's no question about Brad Stevens basketball IQ.
Yeah.
But in terms of getting the players to a point where, we're really gonna run through a wall for this guy. I don't think he has any type of credentials or talent for that at all. And I think it shows during some of the games where the team would be in it and then all of a sudden they lose by 20. So I do kind of question why he's the GM, because as a coach, he wasn't really, he was mildly successful, but I did expect more from him as a coach. So maybe GM might be the role that fits him the best, but we'll have to see later on.
I think he'll excel at it. I really think he'll excel at it because, like I said, and like you even said, his basketball knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For better or worse, it's not the pressure of I have to make a play right here, right now in the middle of the game. I actually can sit back, let the game come to me, and just talent evaluate. I think that's more of a role for him, like you said, rather than saying, is the team going to run through a wall for him? I don't think so. I never really saw that with the team. You know, I felt like they respected him and they respected his basketball mind. But even at that point in time, you reach a certain plateau. And I think that's what he reached. So I think that's probably the best thing for him is just to continue to use that basketball mind and make the team a little bit better from that perspective.
All right. So let's switch sports here. You're a Cowboys fan in Philadelphia.
Yes, sir.
Which is insane. I didn't think people like you existed.
Oh yeah, you know what's funny? It's funny because it's a lot of Cowboys fans here.
Really?
It's a lot of Cowboys fans here.
A lot
Cowboys of people don't even know that. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, a lot of people have a problem with that title because it's like, oh, you guys haven't won in 70 years, and you know, who cares, and yada yada yada. I mean, I've heard it all, but it's America's team because everywhere in America there's Cowboys fans, like everywhere. You can go to New York to a New York Giants game, and in the stadium, it's damn near way more Cowboys fans than Giants fans. Which is crazy to me.
do you think over the past dominance of the past 20 years that the Patriots might have passed the Cowboys as America's team because of all that dominance? Because they do have a lot of fans in different places too, because people are going to bandwagon whoever's popular.
Yeah.
So what do you still feel like the Cowboys are the most popular team in the country, or do you feel like the Patriots were breathing down your necks or even past you?
The Patriots are definitely past us as far as championships. That's like a dumb moment. You know what I mean? Like they definitely have way more championships than we do. But as far as branding, I mean, every year, if you look at the Forbes list, the Cowboys and the Yankees, regardless of it, whether they're winning or losing, are always the top sports franchises.
That's true. Lakers too.
It's never the Patriots. The Patriots win. Patriots do have fans in different spots. And like you said, the bandwagon culture is the shit. We see that every day. If the motherfucker wins 4 games, you're the biggest fan. If they lose, you can't even find these motherfuckers. You know how that goes. So as far as winning, yeah, of course. I mean, that would be crazy. But as far as the brand, it's not even close. It's not even close.
So how happy are you that Dak is back and you don't have to deal with Andy Dalton anymore, and you passed Andy Dalton
oh my God.
team, the Bears, unfortunately?
A Bears fan. Well, y'all got Fields. Y'all got Fields and y'all still got y'all defense. He's going to be in there like week 3.
Nagy seems determined to make Fields sit this year out. And my thing is, I feel like we should have, as soon as Cam got cut by the Patriots, we should have got Cam, because I'd rather Justin Fields learn from a quarterback who's won a playoff game and actually play similarly to him.
I can respect
even
that.
Been an inspiration to Justin Fields than Andy Dalton, who what's his best
Andy
achievement?
Dalton is
14,
really bad.
13-3 or something on the Bengals. Like,
he's really bad, bro. Because like you said, he was on our team last year. He's really fucking bad, bro.
Yeah, no, he's
like when
terrible.
Dak left, bro. And that's what I told people. And I'm glad that Dak is finally starting to get the respect from the media perspective. Because anybody that knows the game and watches football knows that he's an elite quarterback. He really can play well. And it showed, because all of the same weapons we had still were on the team. Ezekiel Elliott was there. We had CeeDee Lamb. We had Amari Cooper. We got Michael Gallup. We were missing Blake Jarwin, who was our tight end. But you've got a hell of a squad. But Andy Dalton is throwing them the fucking football. And it looks terrible. It doesn't matter who you put around that guy. So Dak being back, and then us basically getting beat by the GOAT, which everybody thought we would get beat by 40, and we actually won the game. We just gave Tom Brady time. Dak Prescott led a fourth quarter comeback. The defense may not have did anything. It was a questionable PI call, but we've seen Tom Brady get those calls. So
all the time.
I didn't even get upset. I said, oh, that's Brady's call. You know, it's like a minute left.
Tuck roll.
You didn't score a touchdown. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? But Dak being back, man, the future is bright because it's an offensive league and you have to score 30 fucking points a game. All offense can do it. All I legit want us to do is have an average to above average defense.
Yes.
Kansas City just won the Super Bowl with an above average defense, but their offense is so good. So I got high hopes for us. As long as Dak's on his feet, the offense line's doing what we're doing, we should be good.
Do you think that you guys will make the playoffs?
Yeah, we're in the NFC least. I'm not concerned with
Jalen Hurts looks pretty good. I like Jalen Hurts a lot.
Jalen Hurts to me looked good against the Falcons.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair.
We just have to be, can't say he's the second coming of Christ or the second coming of Russell Wilson. He beat the Falcons. And last year I got a chance to see him up close and personal, and I wasn't really impressed.
Really?
Now, guess what? Dak Prescott was a 4th round pick. Okay? So Jalen Hurts can improve and become elite. Russell Wilson, same thing. Tom Brady's a fucking 6th rounder. Okay. So he can improve. But I'm just not ready to just say, and not just from me being a Cowboys fan, but just looking at his skill set, I feel like it's a lot more there. I feel like he needs a little bit more refined in his playing style.
I mean, the reason why the reason why I'm kind of iffy on the Cowboys making the playoffs has nothing to do with the offense at all, because I could literally see a situation where Dak is probably leading the league in passing yards or whatever, and you guys are still under 500 because that defense is just so bad.
I think when you saw last year's defense, everybody's rolling that same defense into this year. And you have a couple of those guys that are on the team, but we probably cut at least 16 dudes on that defense that looked like complete and utter shit last year. Those guys are out of here. Micah Parsons is there. We have Keanu Neal, who was a really good player for the Falcons. He played well. And we turned Brady over 4 times.
That's true.
We were able to do it. So I'm not saying that this defense is going to be top 10. But all you want them to do is be serviceable and give you turnovers at the right time. And if you can play Tom Brady like that, we don't play Tom Brady. We won't see him until the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So all these other quarterbacks who don't have the same knowledge and football IQ that this guy has, this defense is going to get the ball. They're going to get the ball this year. Dan Quinn is our defensive coordinator. Dan Quinn isn't a good head coach.
No.
But people forget Dan Quinn created the Legion of Boom, that defense in Seattle. And he's using those same kind of tactics with linebackers. That's why we got Micah Parsons. He's going to play the Bobby Wagner role. So schematically, what I saw in that Tampa Bay game is Tampa Bay lost that game. We outplayed Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay got the ball and number 12's over there. We already know how that story goes. Tom Brady's got a minute left or 30 seconds left. They will move him down the field.
Field goal.
Well, something.
Simple.
Something's
Easy.
going to happen. So I feel like a lot of people are looking at the defense and kind of carrying over that. The roster has made a big turn, bro. It's made a big turn. And I'm telling people right now, as long as we can stay healthy and have our players out on the field, I believe we can make a deep run. No one really in the NFC scares me. Aaron Rodgers got beat the shit out of by the Saints.
I don't know. Aaron Rodgers he seems like one of those dudes that he'll play terrible one game and then he'll just take it out on everybody else that he sees.
No, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Quarterback. Yeah, are you telling me he's robbed me like 3 years in a fucking row? Like robbed me.
That is a terrifying quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, and he has that whole like Green Bay drama behind him with Jordan Love and all that stuff. I think Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be MVP again. But let's before we transition, I just want to ask you 2 questions real quick. Who do you think will be in the NBA Finals this coming season?
I believe the Bucks. I think
over the
Bucks
Nets, really.
The Nets got to stay healthy for me, man. Okay. The Nets look good on paper. If the Nets are healthy, are we saying health-wise? Who should go in?
I would assume so, because my whole thing is that the reason why the Nets were literally every single team last year dealt with some form of injury because of how condensed that schedule was. Yeah. Like everybody. And the only 2 teams that really stayed healthy throughout the playoffs are the 2 teams that ended up in the finals. So while yes, Giannis got his ring, at the same time, it's like, who did you really beat? You beat KD and half of James Harden and half of Kyrie. Like they didn't even play together. Like they only played together for what? Like a minute before James Harden got injured that first game?
They didn't really play together at all, for sure.
So, and James Harden has proven to be one of the most durable players in the NBA, period. Like throughout his whole career. That was the first time he really had an injury where he was out for that much time. So my whole thing is, if James Harden plays, they're getting to the finals. Because we've seen James Harden and Kyrie, that worked out. James Harden and KD is gonna work. James Harden and somebody is going to get to the finals in my eyes.
Yeah, no, James Harden. See, the only reason And I'm not even talking about James Harden. I think as long as James Harden plays, you've always got a shot.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie Irving, by him never being healthy,
Mm-hmm.
ever, him and Anthony Davis had the same fucking problem where they play really well and then you're like, where are they? Street clothes. If they're able to have their big three, they should have went this year.
Yeah.
It would have been they'd have swept the Suns, being real.
Yeah, they would have swept everybody.
But the only reason why Giannis and them have to be the favorite is because they did win the championship,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that they're going to be really turned up that they can repeat. Because I don't think out of the West, it's probably going to be LeBron, just because LeBron did miss last year, and he's got a couple of older reinforcements that are chasing rings.
I got LeBron and Russ. Russell Westbrook deserves some respect.
Russell Westbrook
He deserves
is
some respect.
The greatest three-quarter player I've ever seen.
Don't do that. He has some clutch moments in the fourth too. Don't do that.
The fourth quarter, Russell Westbrook, because I remember watching, right? Dame Lillard hit the game winner on them. They were up in that game damn near by like 18 at one point, going into the fourth.
Now I have to, looks like I have to do what apparently is my life's burden in educating people about that series. That is not Russ's fault. I mean, it is because he's on the team, but
he has some turnovers late in that game.
George has proven Paul George played with Russ 2 years.
Yeah.
Paul George was about to be an MVP, top 3 MVP candidate because of Russ, and then we could not find him in the playoffs.
He just came off a good series, though, against the Suns.
But look at the past years before that. The year before in the bubble, he had that 3, and then he knocked it off the side of the backboard from the corner. Everybody calling him way off P. The year before that, he gets the Dame Lillard shot in his face, and he doesn't really show up. The year before that, against the Utah Jazz, Russ drops 45 in a closeout game. Melo drops 7, and PG drops 5. What is that?
Yeah, no, Russell Westbrook. Listen, Russell Westbrook, if this makes sense, is the worst basketball player I've ever seen play basketball.
You're gonna have to expound on that a little bit more.
Like, he's the best player up until a point. Like, every time you'll see him, and more often than not in the fourth quarter, he plays more off of emotionalism than actual basketball IQ. He's almost like, are you familiar with the Juggernaut on X-Men?
I'm not.
Okay, so the Juggernaut is a character that is based off of momentum. The more momentum he gets, the stronger he becomes. That's how Russell Westbrook plays basketball. If people tell him, hey, Russ, we know you can't shoot, and we're really going to block this lane off, and the mid-range isn't working, he begins to force up bad shots. He begins to turn over the ball, and then he begins to get into it with fans, refs, babies, and politicians. He does this consistently. It's not a talent thing. Russell Westbrook can play. He can beat my ass in a game of one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? But when he's playing against these guys, when it's really time for him to put the game out of reach, more often than not, he doesn't.
I agree. I think that in the fourth quarter that he can be a lot more calmer. I also think that if he didn't take as many threes, he'd be a far more effective basketball player.
For sure.
But I do think a lot of the time when he's been kicked out of the playoffs in whatever round, people like to pile on him and completely ignore what he has around him. So, like I mentioned before, with the whole him dropping 45 in a closeout game and PG and Melo not showing up. PG and Melo are supposed to show up. If PG and Melo give him combined 30, they win that game.
Yeah.
It's not like Russ isn't passing them the ball to get them their open shots. Like, they just choked. There's been mad times where, like, Golden State versus OKC before KD left, that series before KD left, and they're up 3-1. I remember in game 6, it was either game 6 or game 7, KD came out and shot 22 shots in the first half. KD, you're the closer. You don't shoot. When have you ever seen KD shoot 22 shots in the first half?
Yeah, that's a little crazy for sure. I can't argue that point.
Like there's little contextual things that people tend to forget about Russ's playoff career. And that's why I feel like, that's why I said, like, it's my burden as a Russ fan to educate people on this stuff, because these are things that actually happen. And yeah, it's Russ is on the team. They lost. Russ could have played better. Russ had a turnover here. Russ shouldn't have shot that. Sure.
Right.
But at the same time, perhaps he's not in that situation if PG shows up, or KD doesn't take 22 shots in the first half, or Melo shows up, or he has shooters around him.
I mean, it could be completely different stories, but we also have to remember the finals when him and KD actually went. James Harden was non-existent. He choked. Whew. Boy, James Harden owes Kevin Durant a championship by himself. So he should take Kevin, like, for what he did to him in that series, and to Russell Westbrook. Because for better or worse, Russell Westbrook in one of them games had like 40-something.
Yeah,
it was like
he played really well.
He snapped. But going back to Russell Westbrook and my definition of the worst basketball player of all time, he has 3 quarters where no one can stop him. And then the 4th quarter comes around and he starts getting quirky. He just gets quirky. And I look every game, it's in the 4th quarter, and Russell Westbrook's there. I'm like, yo, please, like, Russ, please, bro. Because I fuck with Russell Westbrook. Do not get it fucked up. But I can't just keep backing him. I can't. Because he gives me nothing to work with every time.
That Wizards season didn't do it for you? It was essentially him by himself?
This is the thing. I can't be mad at that. The Wizards fucking suck. He needed to go somewhere. Yeah. They suck. Like, I mean, God. I mean, what do you do with it?
I think the fact that he got them to the playoffs, like the fact that he got them to the playoffs is, there's not many point guards in the league that could do that with that team, with what he had.
For better or worse, he had Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal's another person that should go. He's Beal
non-existent on defense, though.
Yeah, he's got that James Harden kind of factor to him.
Except he doesn't impact. Like, Bradley Beal will give you 40 and a high percentage, like probably like 30% of the time, it'll be empty. Like, it'll be an empty 40. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. I can agree with that. Yeah. I can agree with that. I can't even argue with that.
So,
but Russell Westbrook, nobody is denying Russell can play. But with this Lakers team, the Lakers more than likely are got either the Bucks or the Nets. Going back to the question, I got either the Bucks or the Nets. I'm leaning towards the Bucks and the Lakers by far. And I'm not a LeBron fan by no means. But LeBron is better than these dudes. And he definitely wants some revenge after Chris Paul whooping his ass.
Oh, yeah. No, I think I'm very looking back on it, maybe not at the time, I'm very appreciative of LeBron being the villain in Miami. Like, just being able to root against him consistently over and over and over again. He was a great villain. He was a very, very great villain. But then ever since he went to Cleveland and now he's on the Lakers, I started to like him again. So he's actually one of my favorite players. But moving on, in the NFL Super Bowl, who's there?
To be honest, it's either going to be, because I got to pick like damn near 2 teams, just because I can see it really going either way on either side. The Browns and the Chiefs, because I think the Browns can beat the Chiefs. They're just like a day late, $1 short, and Mahomes is on that team. But what I did see in that first game was Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney coming off that edge against Mahomes consistently can breed problems. If you swing it, say if Myles Garrett gets that turnover, that sack in the 4th quarter, Baker Mayfield can score in that range.
Yeah. I mean, it'll have to be a fumble, because the one thing about Mahomes is that he does not throw picks.
No, he doesn't. So you want to get a strip fumble. Exactly. Yeah. You want to get a strip fumble. The pressure that they were given, I see them being teams. And then, to be honest, I mean, in the NFC, it's a wild card to me. I feel like San Fran was supposed to be a team. I'm not sure where they're at.
That's a tough division.
Tampa
they might
Bay
not even
is
make the playoffs.
Yeah, because the Rams are going to, the Seahawks are going to get in, guaranteed.
Kyler Murray looks good in Arizona. That's a tough division.
That division is wild.
Yeah,
that division is the best division in football.
Probably.
So you've got those three teams. I'm not scared of the Rams. The Rams, Matt Stafford doesn't do it for me. Because he still looked crazy against y'all.
I mean, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on the other side, though.
Oh, I mean, they're going to come to play.
Aaron
you
Donald
can't deny those guys.
Like, he just discards of 300-pound men like they're trash.
Yeah. No, Aaron Donald is a fucking force, bro. But you have weaknesses in all of these teams. I really feel like it can be I'm going to throw Tampa in there just because Tampa's the reigning champs. You can't bet against Tom Brady. That's, we see that over and over again. And that other team could be a crapshoot that can make the Super Bowl. It really could be anybody of the teams. It really can. As long as you're like a talented team that's 30 points, it's up there. The Cowboys can be in it. The Saints, quiet as is kept.
I like James Winston over there.
Yeah, like Jameis Winston and a Sean Payton offense with Kamara and a really staunch offensive line, that can be trouble for teams.
Also, he can see. Like he got LASIK surgery now. He can.
Jameis is a really good quarterback.
30 touchdowns and you can't see?
Oh. Yeah. I think it.
I respect it.
Yeah. So I feel like after Tampa Bay, of course, you can't count out Aaron Rodgers. You can't count out Russell. It's just going to be a battle in the NFC. I feel like the top two teams in the AFC, to me, are going to be the Browns and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's going to be one or the other. Like I said, my other team, I'm not going to be biased. I think that we can do it. I think we have the talent to do it, to go on ahead and get into the Super Bowl and really play some ball, because the league is like 30 points and an average defense. Whoever can get over 30 wins. We've got a chance to do that. The Browns, to me, are the most complete team because offensive line and defensive line.
I'd say so.
The Titans are always going to be in the midst too. Julio Jones is going to have to catch touchdowns, though. Yeah. They need touchdowns. They don't need his yard.
Lamar needs his receivers to stop dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Because there's
like, how is he going to win and they drop the football?
There's so much talk about he's not a passer. He's not elite. He has no chance to be a good passer at all. But when you watch them play, there are a lot of balls that he throws and they're on target and they just get dropped.
Yeah. Now listen, my thing with Lamar is Lamar definitely has to get better, but who the fuck doesn't? I mean, that's life. You want to evolve, so I'm not going to just hang on that. But you definitely have to look at those wide receivers. You know what I mean? And you got to look at the scheme. People forget in football that schemes really are the things that win championships. Me being a Cowboys fan, we've had at least 3 or 4 teams in the last decade that actually could have done a couple of things. Jason Garrett was our fucking coach. So, yeah, I know heartbreak, where it's like we actually have a team where you're looking at other rosters and you're like, we match up well against them. We can beat some of these teams, but gotta have that scheme. So
that's definitely caught it. Moving on, let's transition from sports to music. Dead Wrong Records. Give the people a quick spiel about how it came about. Who are the members of Dead Wrong Records, and what do you guys have planned for the future 2021, 2022?
Well, Dead Wrong Records, man, is a street label. Me and my brother made it. And we've got myself on there. Azan is on there, who's my little brother who handles all of the production. We've got Black on there. We've got Frio on the label, Roz on the label, and we've got a couple other people that's going to be coming in as well. We just bring street hip hop back to the forefront. And we're basically blending something old, something new, some borrowed, some blue in a way where it's like, yo, we've got the raps and the street raps, but we got the lit production.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you still want to listen to hip hop with bars, that's what you're getting with us. But it's not a format of a boom bap where the shit sounds like it's from 85.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wants things to be packaged a certain way. And I feel like the project that we just dropped, Dawn of the Dead, is a perfect example of that perfect blend. And I'm working on my EP. Everybody else is working on EPs as well. We're going to be dropping in November and December. We're going to close the year out right. And Dead Wrong Records is a thing of the future, man. You know, we've got a lot of different doors that opened and a lot of different opportunities that opened after Dawn of the Dead dropped from major execs, you know what I mean, from top curators and everything. And we're still grinding. We're still pushing. Dead Wrong Records is a movement, and we have sights, and we will get there, of being one of the biggest entertainment conglomerates in the game. Not only just music, but just entertainment as a whole. We've got a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things we're doing. So we're excited about ending the year off with a bang, man, and really giving people that kind of blend, because hip hop is still alive. It's still a dope thing that's going on. And you just need to get it with the times. You know, because I fuck with Travis Scott. You know what I mean? I fuck with a Kanye or Future or whoever, these guys that are just doing, you know, different kinds of music. But I know what we're good at. And we spit that street shit. You know what I mean? We spit that raw shit. We're from Philly. We're from the East Coast. You know what I mean? Some of our other artists are from New York. So we're embodying that kind of culture of still keeping rap alive, but doing it in a lit way. And like I said, it's a perfect blend. So Dead Wrong Records, we're ascending, man. And I'm really excited about what the future holds for us.
All right. Well, while listening to your project, first thing in my mind was, okay, this kind of feels like a Griselda type album. So is there any inspiration from Griselda that's involved with Dead Wrong Records?
This is the thing with that. I feel like the comparison kind of comes about because we both do street hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we both have like a grimy thing where it's like they from Buffalo, New York, and they carry it like that. And we're from Philly, so we're two East Coast cities, so it's going to be similarities.
Very
for
good
sure.
cities too.
And I respect what those brothers are doing. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like from a versatility perspective, I feel like from a production perspective, we put a lot more art together. It's not as more of a grimy sound. It's a grimy sound, but it's a sophisticated grimy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like it's a sophisticated kind of sound where it's like, oh no, we still on the streets, but you know, we got speedboats too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different kind of thing. And they do those kinds of things as well. But like I said, it's a different kind of creative aspect that we're coming from with it. And we both are two big movements coming from the East Coast. You know, they're bigger than us at this moment in time. And those brothers are doing their things. They're really putting hip hop in a great light right now. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely respect them. But Dead Wrong Records is a separate entity, man. You know, we may spit about the same things, but we do things totally different. And I think that the project Dawn of the Dead reflects that.
So aside from yourself, which artist on Dead Wrong Records are you most excited for?
Man, I'm excited for everybody. And I know that would just be like a bland answer or just like a generic answer, but I truly am. I feel that everybody has talent and brings something to the table. You know, with Afrio, I'm very excited about him and his style. You know what I mean? Good friend of mine, very talented artist. I feel like Black brings that West Philly style, you know, that kind of Philly spitting kind of style, that raw energy. Rob brings those punchlines, that New York punchline shit, that DVD kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, and then Azam, my little brother, he's a dope rapper and producer. And a lot of the shit that he's putting together from a production perspective is bananas right now. So I'm excited about everybody. I feel like everybody's got the potential to do some really great things. And the EPs is going to reflect how much work these guys been putting in. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff that I've been hearing from these guys and material that they've been cooking up, it's just been really, really elite shit. So, I'm excited for all of them, to be honest.
So aside from Dead Wrong Records, you mentioned Travis Scott, you mentioned Future. Who are some of the other rappers out right now that you find yourself listening to in rotation?
I still listen to all of the older shit.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, Biggie, Tupac, the regulars, Mobb Deep, Scarface. I'm a huge Scarface fan. UGK, Screwed Up Click, I'll listen to. If it's more like recent dudes, I definitely like what Scott's doing. I love the Donda album. I thought that was dope. I like the production on it and different things that were on there. Future's always dropping some dope shit. Who else? Rap wise. Yeah, that's pretty much, to be honest, like just listening to like the greats. You know what I mean? Too Short. You know what I mean? I love like that Oakland shit.
Too Short.
Yeah, Short Dog's a legend. 8 Ball and MJG, Bone Thugs and Harmony. This shit is constantly like on my rotation for sure. But like the newer artists, yeah, that's probably what I'm listening to. The Kanye joint. I like Fabio Foreign. I like their drill shit that the New York niggas is doing right now. I think that shit is hard. Rest in peace, Pop Smoke. That movement is a hard movement. I like what they're doing up there. And yeah, man, I definitely try to keep my ears out to new shit though. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trapped in a fucking closet with 95 on it in the fucking purple tape. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still listening to recent shit, but like as far as like motivation and inspiration for my rhymes, I'm always going to be listening to the greats. So I'm always tuned in.
Okay. So out of those artists that you mentioned, who do you think might be the most underrated? Like who doesn't get the most credit out of Too Short, Scarface, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Mobb Deep, Biggie, Tupac? Like who doesn't get the most credit out of those artists that you mentioned?
Probably like a guy like a Scarface. To be honest, I feel like people kind of leave him out of top 10 and top 20 conversations when you start talking about the albums that he's put together. Like The Fits is one of my favorite albums by him. He talks that street shit in a very eloquent way. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're sitting there really listening to him and you've lived that life before, he speaks to you kind of like how Jadakiss speaks to the streets. You know what I'm saying? Jada has that same kind of effect as well. Somebody else who's underrated that's been getting his flowers recently. Oh damn, and I forgot Dipset. I'm a huge fucking Dipset fan. How did I forget them? So I'm listening to Dipset every day. I at least listen to something by Dipset every day for sure. Dipset Anthem may come on, do your thing, remix by Cameron, whatever. But back to Face. Face has a crazy discography, not only by itself, but he made a super group with the Ghetto Boys. They've got classic albums and records. And he's been a force. He's jumped on a lot of dope production. He's done shit with Kanye. He's done classic records with him and Hove. You know what I mean? And he survived the times. And I think he's one of those dudes that never really gets talked about. Mos Def is somebody that never really gets talked about as far as like an underrated artist. Who else that just has like a really solid discography? Mobb Deep is like that too. Because Prodigy is one of the best rappers of all time, in my opinion.
Personally, I think Shook Ones is one of the best produced tracks of all time.
Yes,
I think no matter what that beat, no matter from either whether it's from 8 Mile with Eminem or actually knowing the song, everybody knows that beat. Everybody.
For sure. It's a fucking classic, bro. And Mobb Deep definitely doesn't get a lot of credit as well. There's so many different artists, though, man, that they may have had success, but it's like nobody brings them up. And then when you do bring them up, it's like, oh, shit, I forgot about him. You know what I mean? So they're definitely on that list of that underrated artists for sure.
So you talk about classics. There's amongst people of my generation, like when we're discussing classics, like, for example, I think most people that I talk to, we can all agree that Kendrick Kendrick Lamar has 3 classic albums at least. Personally, I say 4 because I think Section 80 is a classic too. But when you look at other artists like Drake, where some people say the closest thing you get to a unanimous decision, and when it comes to classics, when it comes to Drake's career, is Take Care. So I guess what I'm trying to ask you is that what, from someone who I guess I would consider an old head, what goes into declaring an album a classic for you?
Well, first and foremost, I'm 29, so I ain't that damn old, goddamn. So I'm just putting that on. But I did hear a lot of those like dope albums, like The Blueprint. I was a youngin' during that time when Jay-Z dropped The Blueprint. You know what I mean? Like I was, like, you know what I mean? But those were classic albums to me. I feel like a classic album has to be where it's damn near a general consensus. Where it's not like, okay, I got this album and okay, it's a couple tracks on there that are dope, but like it has to be a general consensus thing. And then it has to be something that has like impact. When you look at like the older albums, like the old albums that's both before, because how old are you, would you say?
I'm 22.
Okay, you're 22, same age as my brother. So y'all grew up a little bit behind us, just a tad bit, with a couple of albums, but we all listen to the same shit. The classic albums, like the shit in the 80s and 90s or whatever, like you look at an Illmatic, a Purple Tape by Raekwon, you know, It Takes a Nation of Millions by like Public Enemy, like all of those are like classic albums from top to bottom, where it's not a skippable track. I feel like on a lot of these newer albums, it's a couple skippable tracks. And it's always up for debate. It's not really an album where it's like, okay, from 1 to 20, I'm listening to, and it's like every song is the shit to me, in my opinion. I haven't really heard like classics. So when people say with Drake, I'm like, Drake is a great entertainer. I don't really know if he has a classic album yet, to me. Now, if you're talking about hits, the motherfucker got hits.
Oh, no, he got hits like, for days. But in terms of creating a cohesive front to back project, I think the best case you can make for him doing that is Take Care.
Yeah, I can't argue that, but I can say like I would put Take Care with the Infamous by Mobb Deep. You know what I'm saying? Like those classic albums, the Low End Theory by Tribe. You know what I mean? Like certain albums. The Blueprint by Hove, the Black Album by Hove. Stillmatic by Nas, like these are more recent albums. College Dropout,
Kanye.
You know, that's a fucking classic. I feel like they got like 3 classics.
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy too.
Yeah, you could throw that in there too. 808s and Heartbreak changed the game.
Yeah,
a lot of these niggas singing because of that album.
They do. Do you put Good Kid, Mad City in that same conversation as a classic?
It's a West Coast classic for sure.
All right.
Can't say that it's not.
Because I remember like me in high school when that album came out and just seeing him all over magazines talking about Kendrick Lamar is gonna save hip hop. Kendrick Lamar is the new savior to hip hop, and like just the whole impact that you're talking about around that album, where the music is good. He has the hits. He has Mad City, Poetic Justice, Money Trees. Like he has
you have to consider it.
Around it. But just also are we witnessing potentially the greatest rapper of this generation right now? Like that little emphasis on that album puts it as a classic to me. And I think that's what I've really been trying to explain to other people is that, first of all, numbers don't really matter when we're talking about classic albums. You could do 500
million, that's true. You're talking about the material, not the numbers.
Exactly. So it's like, yeah, you could dominate the charts or whatever, but at the same time, if there's one skip on it, or well, not even, because I think that now because of how music is sold, I allow a few skips on some classic albums because like everybody's trying to get to 20 and 20 is a double album and you make more money. Like there's some mumbo jumbo in contracts where if you get 20 tracks per album and they all stream well, you get more money. So I understand that, and we might get some throwaways because of it, but I think that overall, from front to back, if I can listen to an album in full and enjoy it and not really want to feel the urge to switch or turn it off consistently, I think that it belongs in a conversation for classic.
For sure. For sure. I can't get mad at that at all. Good Kid, Mad City, you definitely would have to put on a classic tier because it did have some impact. And when you start talking about like a lot of classic West Coast albums, it's in that mix. You know, when you start talking about Doggy Style, The Chronic, Ice Cube's got a couple, Lethal Injection, he's got a couple out there. Tupac's got a couple. So he's right in that mix. You know, some people may consider Game Documentary a classic in certain circles. So I feel like you can't really deny his album's impact. And then his impact in the game. A lot of niggas rap like Kendrick.
Yeah.
So I can't just say, okay, since he's not from the old school, I'm gonna diminish his accomplishments. Can't do that.
Do you think J. Cole has a classic?
I'm J. Cole is a solid rapper.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll say. I've had arguments with friends. J. Cole just doesn't do it for me. He's a good rapper, but me personally, it just doesn't do it for me, man. I can't really get into a lot of his stuff. You know what I'm saying? If we're saying, is he good with wordplay, cadences, stuff like that? Because I'm a rapper, I can hear it. Yeah, he can rap, but like his song structure to me, how he put certain things together, it just isn't for me. He can rap. You'd have to consider him one of the top in the game. His numbers don't lie. His fan base doesn't lie. And he can rap. Can't argue that. But for me, what I'm listening to, that's not my cup of tea, to be honest.
So is it more so what he's rapping about, or is it the production behind it?
A little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I say that is because, of course, I rap street shit because I came from that. Mm-hmm. That's the element I come from. But also I appreciate artistry because I also am a very smart individual. I'm a smart Black man. So I appreciate good music. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the artistry where it's like Most Def Black on Both Sides is a classic to me. He's not rapping about drugs, bitches, and shooting niggas across the street at all on that record. But it's a classic record. And I feel like when you are rapping and putting together stuff, like the production needs to be A1. Everything needs to be at the best level it needs to be. And I feel like with J. Cole understanding the game and royalties, I think he focused more on, if I produce it and rap it, I'm going to get all of the money rather than the art of it.
Yeah.
You know what
I'm
saying?
That if he, like, personally, I think 2014 Forest Hills Drive is a classic because it was, first of all, from front to back, it's a very good album. He produces everything on it and everything just still seems fresh, but then him and in that whole, he went platinum with no features is super impressive. But again, trying to repeat it again on For Your Eyes Only and then again on KOD, it kind of gets stale. So that's my issue with J. Cole. It's clear that he can rap and it's clear that he, personally, I think that if he really, that's also another thing with J. Cole. I think that sometimes the hunger isn't there. Because I think a hungry J. Cole versus a J. Cole who's just rapping just to rap are two different people. And I think
when J. Cole dropped initially when he was broke, he's rapping his ass off.
Yeah, like I think that if he progressed with that hunger, at least that hunger being evident in his music, I think that he could potentially be up there with Kendrick. But I think that the production got stale. I think that he's trying to fix it now because now on the off season he had features and he still produced all of it. But at least he had features. So I guess it's a start. But I guess my last question with this whole conversation about other rappers, I'm a big Lupe Fiasco fan. I think that he's super underrated and I feel like a lot of people should know more about him. What do you think about Lupe Fiasco?
I think Lupe Fiasco is definitely a skilled artist. I think sometimes it's a thing being too lyrical. And I think that's why he always gets pigeonholed, because this is the thing. We have to be honest here. You have smart people and you have dumb people. That's just life. I mean, that's just life.
It is.
People
life.
may not want to just say it directly like that, but that's what we deal with every day. So some things that Lupe Fiasco may say can go over people's heads. It just is a simple fact. I feel like Lupe Fiasco comes from that Kanye West tree of I'm the black guy that I'm not rapping about guns, but I dress a certain way because he's introduced to us by Kanye. So he comes from that era. He had, what was it, Food and Liquor. That was a dope album. Yeah, like he Kick Push, and he made pop records and they were big records. So Lupe Fiasco was able to have a lot of success. I think he's a dope artist all in all. I just feel like, again, he's got to be somebody's cup of tea because he will say some shit over here. Now, the last shit he did was this record, what was it, a dinosaur?
House.
Like some shit about a dinosaur? Yeah, I thought that was the craziest sounding shit he's ever put out in his fucking life. Me personally. I was like, what is this nigga talking about? Like, we're talking about what was the Disney movie? Alador or some shit. Know. Yeah, some T-Rexes and Allosauruses and Diplodocuses and shit. I didn't really know what he was talking about. But if you're talking about all in all from a pen game, his pen game is legit. It is.
He explained it because apparently that song went over my head too. He explained it as he was using dinosaurs as a metaphor for older rappers.
Now that makes sense. I can understand that.
So I can understand that. I think that it might be one of those situations where someone, I think I'd agree with you. I think that sometimes he can be too lyrical and it does go over people's heads, and because of that, he goes underrated. But I do think when putting words together, and from what I've heard, he's one of the best. He's personally the rapper that really made me get into hip hop in the first place. So yeah. Anyway, so you talk about Dead Wrong Records having EPs coming out in November and December. So is everybody going to have an EP that comes out in November or December, or what's the release schedule looking like right now?
Everybody will have an EP. I'm probably going to be dropping in November. We want to kind of go on ahead and get everybody else jump started for December and January. We kind of want to flood. We want to have like a continuous flood, not only from an EP perspective, but dropping singles, dropping visuals, dropping ciphers, like really putting the foot on these niggas' necks like early and often. Because I believe we got the talent, we had a vision, we had a musical production, we had a drive and a focus. We just have to make sure that the content is out for the people to consume. So right now we're just putting up game plans, how we're going to push singles. Like I said, how we're going to go on ahead and go about visuals. And we want everybody to drop. We want everybody to shine. We want everybody to have that thing where it's like you look at the big movements of your Locks, your Dipsets, your Rough Riders, your G Units, your State Props, NWA, whoever. No Limits, whoever, Bad Boy, Death Row, all of these guys had huge movements because of the content and the artists and flooding them with dope content and material. And I feel like we got a dope opportunity to do that. So it's like, why waste time? Why not, just go on ahead, put together some dope music for the people to consume and really roll with the punches.
All right. Well, it's time for our last segment where I allow guests to talk their shit. So that means it's time for me to take a step back and allow you to talk your shit. Whatever you want to talk about, whatever's on your mind, promote your projects, just whatever. You get a minute.
Oh, word. Well, this is the thing. Dead Wrong Records is going to be the biggest movement around, motherfuckers. Y'all better believe that shit. All right. Let me tell you this. King Shampz is one of the best rappers of all time. I'm saying it. You don't have to believe me. My work will prove itself. You go listen to my content. I am elite. Everything that we're doing over here is elite from top to bottom. We're bringing that street hip hop edge back. You can go on ahead and enjoy it. We're going to be dropping a crazy slew of projects for people to consume. And it's about to be a monumental thing, man. In a couple of years, you're going to see Dead Wrong up there with those guys, with those legends, with that Rushmore. That's something that we're pushing for. That's something that we're claiming. That's something that we're manifesting. So be out on the lookout for me. King Shampz. You can be on the lookout for Dead Wrong Records. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. My Instagram is King Shampz, KingShampz. That's the same follow on Twitter as well. Our SoundCloud page, you can go to Dead Wrong Records so you can see how much work we've been putting in as far as content is concerned. And we got a brand new album out. Dawn of the Dead is out now. It's on every streaming platform. And yo, go check this shit out. If you want bars with the production and you don't want this shit sounding like it comes from 1983, go check us out.
All right. Thank you for being on the program.
I appreciate you, brother, man. I had a lot of fun, man.
Nah, this definitely was fun. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow King Shampz and Dead Wrong Records everywhere. Follow OldMilk on Instagram and Twitter at OldMilk Media. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. They have a new variant out called Mu. Apparently, we're going to go through the whole Greek alphabet. So let's try to prevent that. That being said, we will see you soon with me and RJ, episode 223 of the Cat Podcast. And we are out.